right.
Something like this.
Oh, I love that. And that's more like a silver shimmer on the top. Like a silver, kind of like a... Got it.
Yeah. Send it to you.
Nope. I was gonna say, can you show the camera your inspo that you have? So we're going to prom. Awesome. Perfect. Great. This is the inspo that we have for today. Hey YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we had to switch it up a little bit. Usually I do all of my client transformations and post them on my Patreon. If you have not joined the studio seat tier on my Patreon, please go and join, because that is where you can find all of my uncut real-time studio sessions where you can literally shadow me in my studio and really learn my technique in real time, see how I interact with clients, see how I curate each experience for them, because this prom look was beautiful. This client came in with the inspo, and she definitely came in with the vision that she had for herself. She curated how she wanted her brows to look. She let me know how she wanted her base to be, and she was very specific about her lip combo. Let's jump into this tutorial. So of course for brows, we did go in with the NYX brow glue gel just to get the brows laid down and nice and neat. They were already arched and groomed, so that made this part a lot easier for filling in. So after I lay them down, we're going to go in and get them filled in as usual with the e.l.f. Lock-On Liner Brow Pomade in the shade Espresso, and we're going to get them nicely filled in. And if you notice, I'm really focusing mainly on the outer part of her brow because we want the inner part to look as natural as possible. And because I'm using a brow pomade, I really like to set that pomade just to make sure it stays locked in place all day. You don't want your brows smudging or anything or sweating throughout the day. So I just make sure I add an extra layer of lock by setting it in. And to remove those excess powders, I like to go in with my NYX micro brow pencil just to kind of go over it and create those light hair strokes. And as you can see here, this is a real moment you guys are missing out if you're not joining me on Patreon. On the studio seat, you get this real raw, uncut audio because she wanted to take a moment and capture a vlog moment for herself and her page. So I definitely understand as a creator myself. And again, when I'm using that micro brow pencil, I really like to create those light hair strokes, keeping a light hand and focusing finally on the front, just because you want the brows to match and be as cohesive, but as natural as possible. Before I go in with any eye look, I always take my time to clean up under that brow with those same concealer shades that I'll use on the lid, just to make sure I'm having a neat hand and the brows are cleaned up and defined as nice and neat as possible. I'm using my Tarte concealers all over the lid as my eyeshadow base for this look. Usually when I go in with my creative looks, I kind of go in with my P. Louise, but since this is a soft glam, the concealer is perfectly fine, and you always want to make sure you give your eyeshadow something to stick to. And taking my time to really blend it out, because as you can see, she's already had her lashes done, and I just take my time to make sure I'm getting that concealer all over the lid without ruining her beautiful set she already has. The brush that I'm using to blend out the concealer on the lid is my Ecos Tools Precision Concealer Brush. That is one of my favorite brushes to use for small areas because of the angle, and it kind of gives that curve to be able to push the concealer in the creases that I need without overdoing it. So that's one of those concealer brushes that's like a must-have in my makeup artist kit, because it really is a game changer for me when it comes to those lid spaces. So in the inspo that she showed me of the look that she wanted to achieve today, it really was a very beautiful look that had that very soft shimmers with those silvers really popping out. So I did go in with a brown transition shade on the lid and then deepened up the corners with a darker brown slash black. I kind of mixed a little bit of both just to kind of add a little bit of definition around it before I went on top with that beautiful silver. And as you can see here, because again, she had her lashes already done and I did not want any fallout to go on her lashes, so I used a cotton round and placed it underneath and took my time to kind of pat that silver pigment on her lid to really achieve that look. And oh my goodness, it was just so beautiful. And the palette that I used for that silver was a Morphe palette, the NW Smoke and Shadow palette. I don't believe that they make this palette anymore, but I did just take my time packing that pigment onto her lid to achieve this super cute silver soft glam. I'll take a peek at it.
Yes.
That look. Can you see the silver?
I wanna, probably add a little more.
At the top?
Yeah.
Yep, I can bring it on more.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's the perfect color. And as you can see, she just wanted me to raise it a little bit more. I do like to consult with my clients during the process just to not get too far and ensure that they're pleased with the service during the process, because again, she had a specific look for today and I am so glad we were able to achieve it. So smoking out that lash line and really bringing out that liner a little bit so it wouldn't be so harsh. And then we move right into our base. So of course, priming and prepping the skin before foundation, I did use my Dalba's First Spray Serum to go ahead and add an instant hydration to her face before we went in with our Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum, just to apply all over her face. Again, your skin prep is the most essential part when it comes to your makeup routine, and we need to make sure that skin prep and primer is done properly before you go in with foundation. Before we started her glam, she did express 3 things to me. She expressed wanting to make sure that her brows were natural and did not look bold. She did express a certain lip combo that she wanted, and then she also expressed her foundation. She wanted it to be as light and natural as possible. So that meant she didn't want it to be bold and full coverage and very heavy. She wanted it a light coat, and that's what we did. One thing you don't get a chance to see here, but you do get to see on my Patreon in the studio seat, is when she looked at it and she saw her foundation, her reaction, she was very pleased because she said it was super natural and it looked like skin. So if you want to see that real raw moment, go join me on Patreon. So now it's time for the contour and concealer. And as you can see, I am really taking it very lightly. I'm using a very light hand to blend everything out, and I did not go in as deep as I usually would for a full coverage glam. This is a very soft look, and as you can see, that contour really melts into her base. And I am using the Made by Mitchell curve case. This is the medium curve case, and I think this is the shade Toned Up if I'm not mistaken, but it really just adds a light warmth to her face. And then we're going to go in and brighten up underneath using that same Tarte concealer shade. I like to use a beauty blender just to smooth out my base after I blend everything with my brush. I like to go back and forth with the tools of choice because the brush really allows you to get that light coverage, but the beauty blender really smooths and melts everything together for a more cohesive and seamless look. Once we get the base blended out, we are going to go in and add our blush. I wanted the blush look for this to really be a subtle look, not too harsh. I know some of the girlies like the full blush moments because that is me. I love me a good blush moment. But for this prom look, it was super simple, super soft, and that's what we wanted to peek out underneath perfectly without it overpowering the base. And I use the ColourPop Liquid Blush shade Angel Face for this look. And after I blend out the blush, I go in and brighten up underneath the eye one more time. But this time I use a velour puff to blend it out so that way it can blend seamlessly right over and into the blush for that very smooth, cohesive look. Once that's blended out, you flip the velour puff over and immediately set underneath the eye with the setting powder. And for this, I use my Maybelline Fit Me Poreless Face powder just to kind of get everything set before I go in and bake with my One Size Sweet Honey loose setting powder. After I finish baking, I dust off the baking powder with my Sephora Micro Smooth Finishing Powder, and then I go in and set everything with the fixing spray. I'm using my Makeup Revolution fixing spray just to really get everything locked into place before I go in with the final touches. For lips, I'm using my MAC lip liner in the shade Chestnut, then going in with my Morphe liquid lipstick before I topped it off with my Fenty Sweet Mouth lip gloss balm for the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. If you are new here, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button. If you are a loyal follower, thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below if you guys want to see more client tutorials. I know I post more long form for looks that I do, but drop a comment below if you want to see more client looks and transformations. And again, if you want to see the real, raw, uncut, full client transformation with real-time audio, you can go check me out on Patreon. You can join the Studio C tier where I do post long form content there, and you can really learn and see how I interact with clients. For those looking to become a makeup artist or want to see some of the things that I talk about with my clientele, as well as how I get shots for reels in real time, you're really just shadowing me and you're learning a lot. So thank you guys for watching.